This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, good morning. It is just about 9:20 in the morning right now. It is Monday. Is it Monday? It's Monday, yeah. I lose track of the days. You'll have to forgive me. It's Monday, the 10th of July. I am coming to you from my home office in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and I'm back with another interview. If you follow along on this page and you've been here regularly, you'll know that I've done probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 interviews with mariners over the last number of months. I fell off the wagon for a while. There were a lot of things going on in my life and with the ships as well, and I've got involved in a million different things. But I wanted to get back to doing, pardon me, some interviews with folks, and this is one that's long time coming. I've been speaking with Captain Ryan Smith, or Captain Smitty, as he likes to be called, from Grand River Navigation, and he is joining me today from his home. He has graciously agreed to interview with me while he's on vacation. So, this is something that I really appreciate him taking the time to do. As I mentioned, he sails with Grand River. He is the captain of both the Defiance Ashtabula and the John J. Boland. So, a huge welcome to Captain Smith. Thank you for being here. We're going to go over a number of different things. But first of all, I appreciate you taking the time so much away from your family to be here with us this morning. So, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me. Just to clarify, this year I'm strictly on the Defiance.
Oh,
The
you
two
are?
other
Okay.
two other great captains are running the bowling this year, and I don't
Oh,
have to
that's
split my time. So
that's
it's
great. I didn't know that.
yep,
That's awesome.
yep,
Good stuff. Well, you've had experience doing both. I remember you were doing both
yep.
at one point, so we'll touch on both of those things anyway, because you've had an opportunity to run both different types of vessels. But before we get there, just let me ask you how you got started in sailing, what brought you to this career, and how long ago, because you're quite young. And, if I can say, I think you're probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest captain on the Great Lakes. So talk to us a little bit about how you got started sailing and take us through your career to this point.
Started pretty much because of fishing. Um, I was out on Lake Erie all the time. I grew up in Buffalo, from New York originally, and I'd see the lake boats come in and out. I mean, I didn't know how to get into it at that point. I was just a little kid, but we saw the boats, and then I'd hear from my dad when he was a kid that, Papa took him down to go see the Fitz when the Fitz was in Lackawanna at the steel mill, and all these different boats when he was a kid. So it was, just part of our life basically. Um, on my mom's side of the family, my great grandpa, he was a fisherman out of Nova Scotia for lobster, and some cousins sailed, and so it's not like I came to this job, I guess, totally out of the blue. Um, it may have skipped a generation or two, but I found my way back to it, and that's that. So I went to the Maritime Academy in Great Lakes here in Traverse City, Michigan. Um, I went to school because my mom and dad were really big on school, so I did not hawes pipe it. I went to school, graduated from there in 2014, and I went sailing with Grand River right out the door.
Wow. And that was how long ago now?
Uh, 2014. So what's that?
Next year will be 10 years, I
Nine
guess.
years.
Yeah,
I guess next year is coming up on 10 years. Yeah,
that's amazing.
and
So when you
I'm going on year 3.5, going before with captain.
That's cool. So when you come out of the academy, when you go into the academy, you have choices. You can either get into the engineering side of things, or you can get into the navigational side of things, which you did, obviously. When you come out of the academy, you start in on a vessel as third mate, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
And then what's the process like to get from third to second to first, and then into a relief captain position and onward? How do you progress through the ranks like that?
Uh, time, time and experience. So on the Great Lakes, you can move up um, from third, second to first real quick because you do not need required sailing days. Your pilotage supersedes um, the Coast Guard normal days. I think it's, to go from a third mate to a second mate on the ocean, you may need 360 days of sailing before you automatically can roll over to second mate. Um, There is no separate test to go from second mate to first mate on the Great Lakes. It is all just based off, uh, your experience, your knowledge, and when the opportunity arises that you seize the moment. So um, then to go from first mate to captain, though, that does require a test. So
Okay.
it's 6 or 7 modules. They ask you all kinds of things about navigation and deck safety and deck general questions, how to load the boat, how to unload a boat. It's very in depth. They test you on everything. They test you on things that, doesn't even pertain to maybe to your trade. I don't work on tankers, but I had to answer some questions about that stuff. So
Oh, okay.
it is a very broad question bank, and they really touch on everything.
And I
And
know
then
the idea.
upon what's
Yeah.
that?
Keep going.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and then upon completion of that, it's just now that you got your license, it's wait for a spot to open up for a training position, and you got to ride a lot that year. You don't just do your normal. For us, it's month on, month off. But on the year that you're learning, you got to get out there and learn with another captain and shadow them. So, um, you might do a longer hitch, a couple of long hitches, get your experience driving underneath, a veteran captain's eyes, and then eventually, once they give the green light and you're pretty sufficient at it, then that becomes your boat, and you get to go, lead the way.
That's so cool. And I know a captain's responsibility goes well beyond just the navigational aspects of the ship. Talk about some of the other roles and things that you do as a vessel's captain, and all the way from scheduling and problem solving and all that kind of stuff. Talk about some of the other things that you do too.
Oh, I mean, as captain, you're solely responsible for everything. I mean,
Yeah.
if something goes wrong, even if the smallest thing goes wrong, it's not another person's fault on the boat. It's yours. So you got to respond. You're responsible for what happens on your vessel, and it goes as simple as not getting groceries on time. You're the one that verifies what your cooks order, make sure that it complements the meals that are planned, and that there's no allergies for people, and all these things line up. You're talking to delivery drivers. Um, if somebody were to get hurt or just gets, just generally sick, like people do, you got to be in contact with the office, but you also have to contact the local urgent care or hospital or doctor, line those up, make sure your crew member has a ride. Um, you're staying in touch with traffic all the time, making sure that there's the least amount of delays possible for things, or notifying them about weather and what you're expecting to happen or not happen. Um, you're always in touch with the chief engineer. I don't know how to start the engines. I'm not going to lie about that, but I know some very smart gentlemen on board my boat that do, and if they tell me that something's awry, you got to listen to it and make the necessary phone calls and line up techs and line up other outside help if needed, or work with the chief on taking downtime where it's needed so that they can make the necessary repair, or not always is it a repair. Sometimes it's just bettering the vessel. They're, hey, we're gonna slow down a little bit here so we can put this new thing on and it saves fuel, or maybe it makes us go quicker, or you know whatever. But at the end of the day, you're the lead communicator, and that's not just within the boat, but that is from the boat to shore side. You know,
That's a good
um,
thing. Well, that means
yeah.
that tells me that you have constant responsibility outside of the navigational side of things, which your primary focus navigating wise would be in the rivers and making docks, making locks, all those kinds of things. And then obviously you could have your mates, because you can't be on the bridge 24 hours a day. So your mates can navigate for you in open waters, and even sometimes as long as you're on the bridge on the rivers and things. But talk to me about the importance of your team, and having a crew that you can rely on, because you aren't always there. You're in your office, you're making calls, you're sending emails, you're organizing, you're logistically making sure things function properly. How important is it to have a team that works well together, but that you can trust fully to be able to handle things when you're not standing right there over them?
Yeah, I mean, having a strong team is absolutely number one. Perhaps that may even be the biggest part of my job, and especially with the way the market has been over the last few years. There's been a lot of turnover in the sailing industry, and um, we've really had to develop our team. And taking the time to invest back into your own team and your mates and your ABs and your deckhands and your engineers, it all really adds up to a smooth functioning machine. So if we all work together and everybody is responsible for what their position is and what their duty is, then we flow, more economically and efficiently and safe. That's the biggest thing, staying safe.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Um, but I mean, strong, knowledgeable mates, I cannot stress how valuable they are to me. That's what allows me to go to sleep. Um,
That's true,
at
yeah.
night, they have their standing orders. Um, Both myself and Captain Kevin agreed to these orders when we started sailing together, and the guys follow them. So if it gets foggy, yeah, we have to turn on the foghorn, but they notify us, "Hey, Cap, it's now foggy outside." All right, now we know that there's a new variable in our navigation. Um, if if traffic becomes an issue, or it may become an issue, hey, call up Captain, let him know that what he's looking at. There may be a delay because there's a boat come underneath the Blue Water Bridge and we're up above it. We gotta just slow down and wait for him, or vice versa. We may be down below. Um, the mates really are, when I'm asleep or when I'm busy, like you said, my eyes and ears. They're a
Yeah,
complete extension of myself. So um, you're only as good as the help you have, and I think that I have some of the best help around.
that's good. Are they responsible for things like the load plans when you're coming up to docks, or assisting in planning weather routes and what's happening, how you're getting from A to B at certain times, or is that all you, or how does that work?
So the first mate is responsible for the load plans and the unload plans. Um, my first mate has got just years and years of knowledge and experience in that role. So he and I have a quick conference pretty much every day, but definitely right before the load or right before the unload, just to confirm what our water levels are that we're going to be working with, what my expectations for drafts are going to be, and then you know just reviewing what his plans are. But as far as weather goes, sometimes I will discuss that with the mates, but for the most part, I just look for bouncing ideas off of them. At the end of the day, that is my call, what we do for weather. I like to think that I'm on the more conservative side of that. And with the tug barges, you know, they're 700 feet long, but at the end of the day, I'm really just driving a tugboat. So I got to look at weather a little bit more objectively, possibly on the tugs versus on the ships.
Well, talk to me
Um,
about that, because that's something that's really interesting. You've had, especially recently, so much experience doing both, even within the same season. How different is it to handle an articulated tug barge versus a one piece vessel, like an actual ship?
okay.
differences are there, and does it feel different? Does it act different? I know the cargo loads can be different sometimes just in terms of amount, but talk to me about the differences between the two, because that's a question I get asked a lot.
Yeah, so on the ships, there's quite a bit more people, anywhere between 4 and 8 more people on board. On the tugs, we typically run right around 13 is our necessary complement. Uh, it's quite a bit louder on the tugs. Not gonna lie about that because we live right above the engine room. Um, you know, on the Defiance, except for the mates and the engineers and myself and the chief, you have to share rooms, but that's pretty common on on the tugs. It's, like I said, it's a lot more compact,
Yeah.
but because of that, we really click more as a team. Everybody is very considerate. Um, we oftentimes are all together in the galley, which is the galley is where our rec room basically would be considered, and we're watching the games together, or we're watching movies and playing dominoes, things of that nature. So you really get really tight on the tugs, and it's I've been on all three of our tugs, the Victory and the Olive Elmore, and I have found that same culture on all three. And it's simply, you know, besides just great guys, it's due to the nature of the boat. You're forced into being together more, so you build a really deep camaraderie. Um, on the ships, everybody has their own room. It's a big area. You can, it's still a great group of guys and things, but it's just by nature you can have a little bit more space to yourself.
Okay.
Um, as far as driving the ships, that is different because you have a wheelsman. When I was on the Boland, that boat, has a stern thruster. I don't have a stern thruster on the Defiance. On the Defiance, I don't have a wheelsman at all. So up there, when the Defiance is making a dock, it's strictly the captain up there, and then down on deck, you have mates and ABs calling distances and uh, being an extra set of eyes for you. Um, the big thing is when it comes to a tug barge, the way I like to talk, this is how I tell my family about it anyway. I say it's the tug barge is more like a little boat with an outboard, and we live on the outboard motor. So, the ships are fixed, so it's like a great big fancy tiara. Your motors are right there, your shaft goes through the hull, you got a rudder. When it comes to the tugs, in my layman's terms, we are a great big Mercury engine on the back of, a boat. And that's where we notch in uh, and push right on along.
That's a great analogy, because you can actually picture that in your head, and it makes perfect sense that way. Um, you mentioned how you describe things to your family. Talk to me about that a little bit, because being a mariner obviously is not easy. You're fortunate in that often you can be a month on and a month off, but there are a lot of fleets that are not like that. And sometimes you may not have that opportunity either, depending on crews and situations outside of your control, or lack of mariners that you just don't have to fill roles. So talk to me a little bit about how important a work and family balance is, and how important it is to have a family that supports what you do.
Oh, that's, reason number one that any of us are out there is family, at least in my opinion. Um, to go out there, make the money, and come back. This job, although you're gone, and when you're gone, obviously you're gone, right? But when you're home, that's it. You get to go on vacation, and in my case, you get 28 days of Saturday, basically. And then when I'm on the boat, sure, it's 28 Mondays in a row, but there is pretty much no other job I can think of where you make great money to support your family and you only have to work about 6 months a year.
Yeah,
Some go more, some go less, but every position can support a family on board the boats. As with time and you move up, you can do more and more things. But um, I know a lot of people that don't know the industry like to shame, oh, you can't have a family, can't do this, doing that. No, you can, and just like anything else, it takes work and you got to build it. But your important things. I'm not gonna ever miss one of my kids' graduations. They're little right now, but when that day comes, I also know that my guys, my other captains, everybody understands, hey, oh, his kid's going to graduate, so somebody's got to step up. And, when I know somebody else's kid's going to graduate or there's a once in a lifetime event, yep, I'll step in over there. I'll go to work, you cover me someday. And that's just all part of the, I scratch my back, I scratch your back thing, but that's how we treat each other. And, um, very fortunate that my wife is very independent and she can handle the fort quite well while I'm gone. And I hope everybody that gets married and has family can hope for the best and do that as well. As far as the kids go, my kids, this is all they know. So it's honestly, if I was home all the time, they'd probably think it was weird. But but it's great. When I am home, I get to go to all the softball games and all the baseball games. I'm not coming in late. I'm not getting dragged away for a meeting here or there or on the phone all night, handling business. When I'm home, I'm 100% home. And we go do whatever it is we want to do as a family and, uh, got to make up for the time that was gone, not only for them, but for my own well being, just to get out, be active. And
for sure.
then when you go back to work, you can just focus right in on work as well. You're not, that's the other good part about sailing is when you're there, you can work. You get it done. You lead in a positive way, and just make sure you got your FaceTime so you can call home and stay in touch with everybody.
And that's a bonus too. That's something that, quote unquote, back in the day, you didn't have. It's nice to be able to have the technology in place to have cell phones and make phone calls from the boat instead of doing it from shore, and having FaceTime and, all those kinds of things. I'm sure that helps people to be out there and not feel so separated from their family. So that's a really good thing.
Oh,
But
for sure. I mean, when I was a cadet, I remember the first mate on board the boat posting in the galley on the whiteboard, uh, Copper Harbor 1700. And I was like, well, we're not going there. Why would you do that? And he goes, that's where we're gonna get cell phones.
still reception, yeah.
And the whole crew would be out on deck calling home and checking in, And so now you get cell phone service just about anywhere. Plus we have
Yeah.
cell phone boosters and now it's where you're not going to have service and it's a very small window these days, not like it used to be. And definitely no going up the street to use the pay phones and keeping a roll of quarters on you. Obviously, that's all done. So yeah, it's a lot better now, especially to stay in touch with the family and know what they're doing and they know where you're at and you can still talk to your kids every night.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially because um, this job's not an easy job. And I think when you look at a page like mine, what I'm doing is promoting all the wonderful things that you guys share with me, and your experiences, your perspectives, the photos that all of us photographers take as you go by, and trying to give a snippet of your life and what it's like. But that is truly all it is just a snippet. And there is so much more that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know. It's an extremely hard job. It's not something that you're just on a ship taking pictures and, having a good time, especially when you're a deckhand, OSAB, stuff like that. You're out there. You could be going into a dock and working 12 hours straight instead of just a 4-hour watch shift. So you got to be prepared for that. And that's something that I think, if we're going to talk about, which we're going to very shortly here, people that want to try and sail, I want to make sure that everybody knows that it's not all about taking pictures and just sailing on a vessel. It's hard work, and you got to be prepared to work, especially if you want to move up the ranks. And talk to me about how that works out there, and the reality of that situation, and what it takes to be able to stay in this job and not give it up after just a few weeks of being out there.
Right. Yeah, that is, part of the beast is especially working out there in the weather out on deck. Last week the guys they had a hell week. I think when we were on Lake Erie for about 5 days, it rained for 4.5 of those days. And the guys every day were suiting back up, going out there, doing their job, making it through. I mean, we make it, you know, rain or shine, you got to go to work. But yeah, that it builds character. I don't know really else what else I can say about it, but in my opinion, it sure beats you know, digging holes or something in the rain and getting stuck in that. So I think
Um,
every job has its positives and negatives. And the two big negatives about sailing is the fact that you're gone and that you got to work in adverse weather. We had a late storm this spring. I think I sent you some pictures of it. We got like 3 foot of snow on the deck one night we in April, and the
Holy,
guys spent the next 18 hours shoveling. I mean, we were all out there. It was a beautiful bluebird day after that, but the whole 680-foot long barge was loaded with snow. That was quite an undertaking, but we went out and cleaned it up. For some guys, that was pretty much their first time ever seeing real snow like that. They're from Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida. They couldn't believe that we had 3 foot of snow, let alone the fact it fell in April, where, you know, you and I know that can happen pretty much in any month except for June, July, and August.
yeah. Oh
And
God.
you know, it's there's tough times. Some you got to go down in the cargo holds and clean them out after coal on those. That's a lot of work. It
Yeah,
is a lot of work, but all that work, it pays off in the end, in my opinion.
I think it does too.
You
And
move
and
up,
I
you get a great life and experiences. I mean, we see things that nobody really gets to see all that often. The northern lights and the storms. I mean, I don't really ever want to deal with storms, but that's part of the nature of the job, and seeing the mighty force of Mother Nature and all the sunrises and all the sunsets, and
yeah.
um, that's there's lots of positives and lots of negatives, but
Yeah, there's
I
trade-offs to
would
everything.
definitely say the positives are far greater.
I think they are too. I mean, I'm a little biased just because I talk to so many of you, and I hear so many good stories. I hear more of the good stories than I do anything else, and that's partly what allows me to fall in love with this industry and learn about it and want to learn more. Um, so talking about people, the one thing that I have had conversations with a lot of folks in the sailing industry is about the turnover and the fact that a lot of people are retiring right now and leaving positions, or switching over to pilots if they're a captain or whatever the case may be. And across the board in all of the major fleets, you're all shorthanded right now. So you are looking for new people. You're looking for folks who want to work hard and want to be out there and experience what you're experiencing. So talk to me about Grand River and what you guys are looking for as a whole, and how people can get started, what the important credentials are that they need, and how they can get started in looking into this as a job. I get requests from people constantly asking me for that information. So let's help them. Let's help them get out there and be a mariner. So talk to me about Grand River and how they can do that.
Yeah, so you got to get your Merchant Mariner credential, your TWIC card. That can all be found online at the with a quick Google search. You can apply for that. That'll get you in the door. Um, Once your credentials come in, that puts you in entry level unlicensed positions, so you could be a deckhand or a wiper in the engine room. Um, and then you can work your way up from the bottom like that. And if you want to become captain someday, you could do that. Within our fleet, we have 3 captains that have worked their way up from deckhand all the way up to the top spot. Those guys they're a special breed. They're fantastic mariners, and they know it inside and out because the way they learned it was from the inside out. It wasn't from a book. It wasn't from any schooling. It was on the job training all the way. And those guys are fantastic mariners. Fantastic. Um, if you wanted to go to the Maritime Academy here in the States, there's 7 schools. 6 of them are state schools. So you can go to Great Lakes here. If you graduate from Great Lakes, you'll also have your pilotage to work on the Great Lakes. There's Maine, there's Massachusetts, there's SUNY in New York, there's the Merchant Marine Academy, also in New York, there's Texas, and there's California. So any one of those schools, you can go out, you apply. You'll have to also get your TWIC card, your Merchant Mariner's credential, and then pass school. But upon passing, you'll be a licensed engineer or a licensed mate. Um, yeah, you were saying retirement is it's not just on the lakes. It is across the board that mariners are are needed heavily. Um, just yeah, lots like I said, lots of retirements. It was an aging industry. For a long time there, everybody was pretty much the same age going through. So yeah, I may be younger. I'm definitely not the youngest captain on the lakes. There's some guys far younger than myself. But that is the way it is now. Is we got to fill these roles. So no matter what company you're in, I'm pretty sure you can move up rather quickly if you become proficient in your position and seize the opportunities that are to be had.
So it goes to show that this is an industry where you can start on the deck and go all the way to the top. You don't have to go through schooling. And right now, when mariners are needed, I think that's the best way to go for a lot of people. You can go right out of high school. You don't even need university education. You can do whatever. If you have the drive, you're willing to work, you're willing to be away from your loved ones for periods of time, and you want to have great experience and great money, then this is a good opportunity for a lot of you. So the 2 credentials that Captain's referring to are things that you can do to apply and get before you talk to companies. I personally would even talk to each company that you want to, just to find out what they're after and show your interest and show all of them what you want to do and how much you want to do it. And I think that's going to help in the long run. Um, are you guys in general looking for every position within your company, or are there certain things that you're after right now, or do you know? Oh, he froze. He's gone and he's going to try and come back. So while he's doing that, maybe what I can do is try and find, to go along with this in the comment section for the video, I can try and find the links to get people an opportunity to look at applying for a Merchant Mariner card, applying for your TWIC, which is your Transportation Worker Identification Credential. That's the faster one to get of the 2. As far as I'm aware, a Merchant Mariner credential takes a few months to do. And those are important things even to start as a deckhand. So you want to get those under your belt and get them so that when you apply to jobs and to fleets, that you can just apply and they could hire you on the spot if they really wanted you to work for them. But find out what each company is offering, what they're looking for, what positions there are, how you can move up, what their attrition rate is, and all those kinds of things. So it looks like he's back. I heard a little, so he's coming. There he is. The joys of being able to do this outside, and yet sometimes you lose connection at the same time. So, oh, now he came inside. You got to turn your mic on, Cap. Your mic is off. It's across the bottom there. Just click on the mic button. There you go. Oh,
Got it?
there. Yep, got it.
All right. Yeah, my phone said it got too hot and then it turned off.
Oh, that's funny.
Apparently it's sitting in the sun. Um, yeah, so what were we saying there? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, well, when you cut off, I was just saying that in the comment section, I would put the links to be able to obtain a merchant mariner credential and a transportation worker identification credential, and that those are good things to get under your belt ahead of time while you're researching what companies are offering what out there. And it just speeds up the process if you already have them in hand. But while you're waiting for them, you can still talk to people, talk to companies, and let them know, here's what I'm doing. I'm in the process of getting these things. What are you guys looking for? And what can you offer me as an individual to make me choose your company? So I'll do that in the comments afterward. But talk to me about Grand River a little bit, and if you have any idea of the kinds of things that they're looking for. Like, what are you most short in? What are you looking for? Anything, everything? Like, what helps you the most, do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll take applications for you know, for anything. It's there's always a need um for every position, you know. It's even on the good years there's always a need. So
Yeah.
if you're interested in sailing for us, licensed is 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. Unlicensed is 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off. If that's something you're interested in, um, we'd be happy to, you know, have an application. You can get that at uh, rand.com or randlogistics.com. Google it. I don't know the name of my own website, but
I could
yeah,
always
it can
put
be
that in
found
the
in, yeah,
comments too.
yeah, just Google it. I know we have there's a hiring link there. That's where you would start your process for coming through to us. And then once that application has been filled out, they'll be in touch and your journey begins then.
That's exciting. I love that whole thing.
Yeah, but
I,
like you said, it really is crucial to have your TWIC card, your MMC, and your passport uh, beforehand. That is absolutely uh, key in getting hired because that can take, you know, if you're lucky, it's 6 weeks or so to get your paperwork, but it's more often than not out to about 3 months.
yeah,
So
right now
it,
it is apparently, according to everyone I'm
yeah,
talking to. Twix not bad, but MMC is taking a while apparently,
yeah, yeah,
and so are passports. I mean, let's be honest, it's taking a while to get those too. So, so those are
yep.
the three things that you folks need if you're interested: getting a passport, doing your MMC, getting your TWIC card. I'll put the links for those things in the comments, as well as the link to Grand River's page, Red Logistics, who is the company that oversees Grand River and Lower Lakes Towing and ASC. So I'll put that hiring link there so you can keep that in mind for when you have all of those things done. Um, I just I can't tell you, Captain, how much I appreciate you taking time away from your family to do this with me today. I mean, we're so fortunate to have so many great people. See, there's an example of what you do this for right there.
Right.
uh, we're so fortunate to have so many good people who are willing to take time to show us part of their lives and take time away from their life at home to do things like this with me. So thank you so much for
Oh,
taking the time
no
and
problem. Thank you. Thank
enjoy
you
the rest of your time at home.
for advocating for the lake boats and putting it on the map again. I mean, I see your followers. It's always growing. It's incredible to see that so many people, as far as you know, across the world, really, but a lot of Kansas and Texas. I see all kinds of places where they're tuning in from, and it's just so surprising. I mean, some of these people have never seen the Great Lakes, let alone a lake boat, and they're
Yeah.
following right along, and they know. So if you're from, one of those far Midwest or Western states, and you want to, do a different adventure, we're always open. We're out here. There's our company and other companies looking to work, and it's a great experience, and what you're providing is a great outreach.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to do it. I hope it helps. I know there are people who have contacted me, even most recently, saying, we don't know where to start and what to do. And this is something that a lot of us are interested in doing. So I was so happy to hear that. It was the kick in the pants I needed to get a hold of you and say, look, we've been waiting to do this for a long time. Let's do it right now so we can reach those people and get them out there. So I hope it helps. Um, Make sure you like, share, comment, everyone. Spread the word. Talk about Great Lakes shipping. At other interviews with other captains, they went through the same process with me and told me what their credentials were and what you needed to do to get started, both from a Canadian fleet perspective and a U.S. fleet perspective. So, once again, thank you so much, Captain. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. We'll all be
Oh,
looking
will
for
do.
you
Thank
on
you.
the Defiance, and I hope you hurry up and get up here sometime. You're never up this way, so that would be
Oh,
nice to
yeah, I
see.
was up. I was up there last week, but I didn't touch base with you. I came through at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much, Cap.
all right. Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.